Rev up your engines!
Well, Toyota's working on a new engine that's going to be a 2-liter 4-cylinder. It's going to put out 400 horsepower. That's a lot of horsepower out of a little bitty engine, right? Realize, of course, it's turbocharged. It's a 2-liter 4-cylinder inline 400 horsepower engine with turbocharged. They're making this 4-cylinder block so it can put in both longitudinally, front to back, and sideways, transversely for front-wheel drive vehicles. They're planning on using it in a bunch of vehicles. Now, there's a lot of companies that have those things out, but Toyota's had pretty good luck with their engines. And what they're doing is they're taking the design that for racing, they can bump it up to 600 horsepower for racing, but this is what makes it better. You take an engine that can take 600 horsepower, but you're only getting 400 out of it. Guess what? It's going to last longer. Now, still, I am not a turbocharged fan, but people want faster vehicles. And Toyota seems to be giving up on larger engines, cutting their 8s, turning them to 6s, cutting the 6s and other vehicles, and putting them down to 4-cylinder turbo. So, hey, we'll see if they last over time. That's the main thing. Let's face the facts. People don't buy Toyotas for racing speed. They buy them for longevity. If they can make this 400 horsepower 4-cylinder hold up with the turbo, hey, more power to them. But only time will tell. When it's out, whether it holds up or not. Honda's got 2-liter engines. They also have 2-liter turbocharged engines, and they've held up pretty well over time, I do have to say. Honda makes an excellent engine. If Toyota can pull this off, great, but if they don't, it's going to be more egg in their face after the engine problems they've had with the Tundras and then with the Turbo 4s. We'll see. We'll see how it holds up. We change presidents, and Stellantis is changing presidents. That's Carlos Tavares. He resigned, right? Now, of course, the baloney is flying through the air because Stellantis now announces that they say they're going to, real underline there is going to, it's a promise, invest $5 billion in the United States. Well, let's see. Stellantis has been pulling stuff out of the United States for years. Now, all of a sudden, we got a new president of the United States, and Stellantis' new president is saying, oh, we're going to put $5 billion in the United States. I'm not holding my breath on that one. Let me tell you. A few months ago, old Honda and Nissan were going to merge. Oh, yeah, we're merging. Now it's like, oh, it looks like it's not going to happen. They wanted to have Nissan as a subsidiary, and Nissan's like, no, we're our own company. We're not going to do this. These promises mean absolutely nothing. Talk is cheap. They give the politicians what the politicians want to hear. Are they actually going to put $5 billion in the United States? I really doubt it. Stellantis, European company, right? The Italian government's been pushing them for putting investments in Italy. And I'm sure they promised the Italian government they're going to put billions in too. Is this actually going to happen? Like I said, I wouldn't hold my breath on that one. They say they're going to roll out new hybrids, electric vehicles, and even conventional vehicles. They're going to bring back the V8s that they got rid of, and we're going to make electric cars that nobody wants to buy. Yeah, well, any fool could see that, right? But sure, they got to change it. They're going to go bankrupt, especially in the United States. I mean, their products have problems to begin with. But all I have to say is, yeah, they say they're going to put $5 billion in the United States, right? Christ has put a whole bunch of money in Mexico to make them cheaper. Or maybe they'll just include Mexico as part of the United States, and they'll say something like, well, this is a $5 billion investment in North America. I don't believe any word any of these people say, and give promises that, hey, there's no legal obligations to these promises. Come on now. Everybody knows all politicians promise stuff. 99% of the stuff they say never comes in. And in the corporate world, it's probably even worse. Here's a hilarious one. Ford is recalling 2025 Bronco Sports Escapes Lincoln Corsairs over electrical concerns for the second time, because the first time they didn't fix it. What a surprise, right? Interesting enough, Bronco Sports are made in Mexico, and the Corsairs are made in Louisville, Kentucky. Bad enough that they had bad batteries, but they tried to fix it by saying, oh, it's a software glitch. We'll monitor the batteries. Yeah, they didn't want to have to replace all the batteries. It cost a bunch of money, right? So instead they said, we have a software thing to monitor what's going on with the battery. Blah, blah, blah. If the battery has a problem, you need to replace it. Don't put a software update to say, oh, well, it'll warn you if there's a problem. Come on now. You need to fix things. And this is how a lot of these car manufacturing companies are getting away with crap these days. They'll say, say, oh, there's a recall. We fix it with a software update. Hey, I've been a mechanic for over 57 years. I have seen so many failed software updates. They just do it as an excuse to not fix it. For example, decades ago, Chrysler transmissions were crap. A lot of them still are, but they didn't shift right, and you take it into the dealer under the recall, and they would reprogram transmission computer control system, because even back then, they had computer controls on the automatic transmissions, right? Of course, it didn't fix anything. People would bring me the cars back. They said, we took it in for the recall, and it shifted just as crappy as it was before. And I said, yeah, all they did was reprogram it. These transmissions are garbage. It's physically wearing out, and they don't want to have to replace tens of thousands of transmissions or hundreds of thousands or millions of them. It would cost them a small fortune. They fight that tooth and nail. So here we go again. The first recall didn't fix. Now they actually have to start fixing things. And who knows what else they'll find as time goes on. Realize some of these vehicles are 2025. They are brand new vehicles, spanking brand new. Imagine what's going to happen when they're out there in the world for a year or two. What stuff is going to happen to them falling apart, especially the Bronco Sports, which are all made in Mexico. Interesting, though, that the ones in Mexico and the ones in Louisville, Kentucky, they're both having problems. So it's not just a Mexican problem, it's a Ford overall problem. And realize, do you know where the batteries are made for the Bronco Sports that are built in Mexico? The batteries are made in China. Why? Because they get cheaper batteries from China, right? You'd think, hey, we got American companies that make batteries, right? I'm sure there's Mexican companies that make batteries, but even those are too expensive. They're buying the batteries from China and they're crap. What a scream. Well, finally, old Elon Musk's admitting that he was wrong after 9 years of saying he's going to have all the self-driving autonomous cars. Now he's reneging on it. Elon Musk has been assuring Tesla customers that his cars would achieve full autonomous driving with a couple of software updates. He admits now that his cars, manufactured in 2019, do not have the necessary hardware to achieve it. He confessed that it's a complicated and difficult process. Now, way back in 2016, Musk said, my new vehicles have enough hardware to achieve full autonomous driving. And since then, there have been 4 updates that promised, but they've only given some of it. They still are not full self-driving. Tesla's in a big pickle because now there are class action lawsuits. Customers are suing them for false advertising because they said, hey, you said this is going to be full self-driving. Now you said it can't be. And as usual, they're promising the future, you know. Tesla's planning to test their new hardware out in Austin later this year, 2025. Whether the older customers that paid for it are going to be able to update it on theirs. It looks like they're not going to be able to. Well, if you're into speed, you know that nothing gives you cheaper speed than a motorcycle because it's all about power versus the weight of that machine that the engine's powering. Well, obviously, motorcycles weigh a heck of a lot less than cars do. So there's a crazy company out there called Langen, and they want to make this Langen Lightspeed to become the world's fast production bike by taking an insanely fast motor to begin with and turbocharging it. Now, I've driven turbo motorcycles, and they will scare the heck out of you. Kawasaki Ninja H2R is the fastest motorcycle in the world. What they call production, right? A super sport world champion once drove at 250 miles an hour. You go that fast on a motorcycle, you're insane. Langen Lightspeed, they haven't built them yet. They say it's going to be even faster. People don't need this much speed. It's total insane. Nobody can control 2 wheels at 250 miles an hour except for somebody like this dude, Kenneth Sofuglu, who obviously is a professional superbike champion. And even then, these guys are always breaking arms and getting killed in races. Shouldn't be out there for regular people. The interesting thing is that the fastest one now, the Kawasaki Ninja H2R, it's not even street legal. This guy claims he's going to make a street legal one. Well, you're going to be breaking all kinds of laws if you're going more than 250 miles an hour on a motorcycle. And you need your head examined to do that anyways. That's just total insanity on 2 wheels. Well, now we have outer space transportation news. Boeing is now informing their employees at NASA may cancel contracts for rocket ship stuff. You know what I say? Thank goodness they screwed up with that Starliner thing. They need to be held accountable. Instead of just getting government money on the gravy train, I agree with this entirely. They should just say, out you go, find somebody else. Turns out that the primary contractor for the Space Launch System rocket, Boeing, is preparing for the possibility that NASA is going to cancel the program with them. Money's being wasted like mad. The large expense expensive rocket. A single launch costs in excess of $2 billion. $2 billion every time they blast off, right? And then they had problems with the Starliner stuff not working when they took the people into the space station, the International Space Station, and they had to bring it back down empty because they didn't trust the thing. I say, too bad. You know, if you make crappy cars, go out of business. Stop getting money from our government, right? If you can't make rocket ships, have somebody else do it, right? Things need to change. Need to shake it up a little. Bad enough they got problem with their planes. They got problem with their rocket ships, too. At that price, they can't even make them right. I think they should cancel it. Find somebody else to do stuff. It's at the point of they're just on the government gravy train for so long. Yeah, find somebody else. I agree. Throw them out. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.